Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tips and Tricks Tuesdays with me, Valentina V. I am a filmmaker in Los Angeles. I direct, I shoot, and I edit. And also, I'm an Adobe Max Master Trainer, which means that I apparently know things about Adobe, which is why I have this show. Welcome. Today, we are speaking with Jesus Ramirez from the Photoshop Training Channel all about branding. But before we get to him, I want to remind you of a couple of things. First of all, can you see me? Can you hear me? If you can, give me like a clap, clap, clap emoji in the chat room. I'm checking you over here so that I know that you can see me and hear me. Number two, for the lesson that I'm about to teach after my interview with Jesus, I'm going to give you all of the notes ahead of time so that you can follow along. And you could do so here at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. So if you go to that website, go ahead and download the notes. This is week 17, and you'll be able to get them right here at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. And the third thing that I would like to remind you is that Adobe Video World is coming up, where myself and a lot of other instructors will be teaching various Adobe video programs and lots more that just go really in depth about skills and strategies. So it is a virtual conference, September 12th through the 17th. You can go ahead and check it out. It is training. You can get certified as an Adobe specialist there. It's really cool. There's a lot of my friends are speaking and teaching. So if you want to get more in depth, I would highly recommend going to Adobe Video World. We have a lot of claps in the chat room, so that's good. You can finally see me, and I would love to introduce my co-host, my special guest, Jesus Ramirez from the Photoshop Training Channel. Hello.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Valentina. How's it going?
I am doing great. Looks like we are both in our brand colors.
Yes.
So, which is a perfect way to segue into talking about branding. Now, there's business branding, so you can
hmm
brand yourself as a business, but there's also personal branding, which I think a lot of people take for granted, especially when they are on YouTube. What would you say is a lesson that somebody can take from the business branding? Just one lesson, just to start off, just to get us firing, just to get us warmed up. What is one lesson that somebody could take from a business brand and apply it to themselves?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing would be that you want to be recognizable. So whether it's by a color, by your name, by your logo, if you look at really big businesses, they all have something that's very recognizable. So you could think about what would be recognizable on you. I mean, for example, it could be like your hairstyle. It could be like the colors that you wear. Maybe you always wear a black turtleneck. Like whatever that personal thing that you want to make your own. I think it's really important that way people could always recognize you're the person that does this, you're the girl that does that, you're the guy that wears this. So I think it's just one thing about you needs to be quote unquote branded.
Yeah, long ago, this was back when I was applying to jobs. I realized that one way I could make myself stand out amongst other candidates was to have something interesting on my body.
Yeah.
So I started having blue hair
hmm
way back then. So if they didn't remember anything about me, at least they remembered, oh, that girl with blue hair. Like maybe they don't remember my name, maybe
yeah
they don't remember anything else, and it's kind of stuck, and it's helpful because you instantly see that, oh, it's her. For you, it's a lot of your branding on your YouTube channel, the Photoshop Training Channel, has to do with the color palettes that you're
hmm
using, and even down to the fact that you're using like branding that is similar to Photoshop so that people associate you with that.
Yes. Yeah, and that was intentional. You can see right behind me my PTC pillow, so that's my company logo, and this is the Photoshop logo, which is actually the older one. There's a new one that just came out in June. But when I first started PTC, in my mind I wanted to have the letter P in the logo, and I wanted it to be blue because that's what I associated with Photoshop, and I wanted people to associate my brand and me to Photoshop.
And you, I mean, you didn't just like think of this just straight up off the top of your head, you actually have a background in marketing. So let's talk about that and how you moved from that marketing background and what you used in order to start your channel. Like what information you used from marketing in order to start your
Yeah,
channel.
so really briefly, so I started my career as a designer. I was a designer for Motorola right after college, and then after that, I did a couple of things, including becoming a developer. So I learned how to code and do all that fun stuff, and I started working for a marketing company where I learned a lot of marketing principles that when I started my YouTube channel, I then started, right away. I started with a newsletter. Right away, I started with like, like what I just talked about, the colors, the name. Like when people say my company name, what would they think about? And obviously, that's why Photoshop is the first word on there in the company name. So I thought about all these things that we were doing for our clients, but I was applying it to myself. Although my YouTube channel, when I started, it was just purely for fun. I think you and I have talked about this when I first started doing my YouTube channel. The first videos that I made were videos that were really long form, maybe like 45 minutes to an hour, and they were like big projects because I thought, that was just fun to me. And not to say that what I do now is not fun, but it was just like, oh, I'm gonna make a cool design and I'll just put it up there, So that's how it all started. But even though it was just for fun, I still had those marketing principles from day one.
Yeah, and then when you started your YouTube channel, marketing and branding isn't just about what it looks like, it's also about the content. So when
Yes.
you started with more advanced kind of stuff, and then you realized that that's not what people were looking for. So what would you say when it comes, when it comes to how do you kind of tailor your content to what people want to see on a particular platform?
Yeah, so it all depends on your purpose, right? So if we assume that the purpose now it's a business, so I started treating it more that way in terms of the content. I always treated the content as a package, as a product. I always wanted the content to be good. I always wanted the content to feel quote unquote premium, although it's free on YouTube. Like I've always spent a
Hmm.
lot of time on that. But on the content itself and what it is, at some point I realized that most of the people that wanted to learn from me are people who are just starting out. So I had to tailor my content towards that beginner user group, just because usually an advanced person may not be on YouTube as much or anywhere else trying to learn how to do stuff because they already know how to do it. And if they go online, it'll just be like a quick search. Oh yeah, that's how you do it, and maybe watch like 10 seconds of a video just to remind themselves how to do it. But they're not going to spend the time and effort like somebody else might. So I had to tailor my content that way.
And there's also a lot to be said for making it feel premium, what you just
Yes.
said, because if you are presenting yourself as an expert in a field, you have to look the part.
Right.
So whether, it's what you're doing right now, you're not on a computer webcam, you're on a Sony mirrorless because we want to have that professional look. Same thing with me. I'm not on a webcam. I also am a cinematography instructor. I teach lighting. So if I didn't have, good lighting around me, then who am I to teach it, right?
Exactly. And that
Yeah.
became part of your branding. I mean, I see all your social media accounts and you have the same color scheme. And I mean, I know it's the same photo, but it goes with you. I mean, your blouse matches your hair, which matches the background that you're in. So it's all part of that branding.
Yeah, make sure your content fits the branding that you're going for. So, what would you say to someone who's starting out today? Maybe they don't have a consistent brand yet.
Mhm.
What is something that they should start to focus on?
Well, first and foremost, the content. The content, like we can't go anywhere past that unless you have the content. Assuming that you already have quote unquote good content, then you can start figuring out the story behind that content, and then the visuals, the audio that goes with that story. And it could be as simple as just a color, or it could be a sound, or music, or whatever it is. But I think you just build upon things, and at the very foundation, at the very bottom, it's really really strong content.
Yeah, content is very key. And I would also say that a lot of people, you see this all over YouTube and other social media, is they're trying to imitate someone else.
Yeah,
And when you're trying to imitate someone else, you're trying to imitate someone else's brand. It's not just it's not just their colors. Like maybe you have a different color scheme or a different intro
Hmm.
graphic or whatever, but if you're doing the same, I see this a lot with vloggers, right? They'll do the same like type of music underneath a hyperlapse of like a sunset or whatever. It's like that's not going to get you very far depending on what your goals are. For
Hmm.
example, if your goals are to be sponsored by other brands, if your goals are to be recognized for your unique talents, then you're not going to get there by just copying other people.
Right.
Yes.
Definitely. And there's nothing wrong if you're just starting out just like at ground level and learning and replicating work, but that shouldn't be what you always do. You know what I mean? Like, I think we all at one point got into being a creative because we saw a cool artist or a cool movie poster or a cool movie, and we're like, oh, I'm going to do that. And then you go and literally try to copy it. But that, in my opinion, is in the learning process. That is not part of the this is my brand. Like, I'm just going to take this guy's or this lady's logo and then just make it blue instead of red.
Yeah, and I think I think it's important to be aware of where your influences come from and whether or not it's an homage or it's
Hmm.
just a straight up copy, because
Right.
homages are fine. We all get inspired by
Hmm.
people, but if it's just like you're straight ripping someone off, then that's a different story. I will say in the chat room, if anybody has a comment or question, go ahead and leave it because I am monitoring it over here so
Hmm.
that I can ask, because this is a really good discussion. Um, Something that you did before you ever made a single dollar on the internet is you decided what your brand was going to be. And
Yes.
you stuck with it. But
Yes.
also, it has evolved over time. So, what are the things that have evolved and what are the things that have remained consistent?
I mean, it's the simple things that have changed. Like my brand started with a square, now it's a circle. Those are the simple things. But what's remained consistent is the color. I haven't changed the color. I haven't obviously changed the name, and I probably never will. But those two, I feel that are um, that I wouldn't be able to change. I think I can pretty much change anything else. Like right now, if you look at my YouTube channel, I'm experimenting with different things. I'm always trying to learn and to see how things can improve. But in my YouTube channel, I used to put my logo on every thumbnail. I did that for 6 years, and then recently I'm thinking, well, what if I stop putting the logo on the thumbnail? Like, what would happen then? Would the views go up, down, the same? So it's an experimentation process, but that doesn't mean that like I'm getting rid of my logo. It just means that on that particular piece, I decided to test and see how it performs without it. Um, just as a test. But my logo is inside of the video and it's everywhere else. So like I'm just always testing new ideas, always trying new things. And if something works, I stick with it. And if it doesn't, I move on. But the things that will always remain consistent will probably be in the name and the colors that I use on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I would say something that logos are kind of a sticking point for a lot of brands, especially brands that I work with, because if you're making a video for a client, if you're making a video for another brand, the first thing they want is let's pop our logo up in the first 5 seconds. Let's
Yeah.
start with the logo, or let's do an intro and then do a logo. And I always try to advise against it because, especially online, like you might think that you are branding yourself, but people are going to drop off like
Right.
immediately from whatever video you're watching. So, what is a piece of advice that you could perhaps give someone who is working with a brand,
Yeah.
and then that brand is telling them that they have to have the logo up front and they know that that doesn't work?
Um, well, there's two ways to think about it, or two things that I would do. Number one, I would try my best to convey the um, the the brand that hires you usually has a goal, has a metric, whether it's to sell a product, whether it's awareness to a product or service. There's always a goal and always a metric. So you can take that route and speak to them in that language. For example, if a brand came to me and they said, "Hey, we want to do this YouTube video, but we want to slap a 15-second intro in the beginning of the video," I would speak to them about how if you do that, you might have an initial drop-off rate that is very steep, and that will cause YouTube's algorithm not to promote your video. So we can do it the way that you want, but from experience, is what would work on this particular platform. That doesn't mean that that would be true for other platforms, but with my experience, I could speak to that particular issue, and then say the way that we could solve it is by maybe having a 3-second logo in the beginning. The drop off won't be so steep. We can get right into the content, and then either do like a mid-roll logo or an end, towards the end, do the logo there, the longer 15-second thing, once we've already hooked the audience into the content that we're promoting. And if you're dealing with somebody who's just stuck to their guns and they just want to have that 15-second intro, they're the ones signing the check, and I would do it, but I already gave them my professional advice, and they're the ones who will then make that decision.
I think that is great advice. In the end, it actually also comes down to analytics. So whoever hires you, they respond better to like hard facts that you can give them as far as analytics go than to like, oh, I think playing the logo in the first 5 seconds won't work as well. So if you could show them, look at the retention, look at the drop-off rate, look at what it's doing. If you could show them similar or alike channels and be like, look at so-and-so and what they're doing compared to us, and look at the differences. Like maybe we could learn from them. If there's any way that you could tell your brand clients not to just be brand all the time, that would be great, because online people just want to have fun. Online people are just like, you want that thumb stopper moment when they're scrolling or when they're looking through what they want to watch. You want them to watch your thing, and you only have those first 5 seconds to really hook them in.
It's super important to get your story across, I think, rather than like slap your logo in the first 15 seconds of a video, because once you have that engaged and hooked audience, they're more recipient to anything you throw at them, whether it's your product or service or just brand awareness with your logo, if that's what you want. But I think you need to hook the audience first before you do all that other stuff.
Yeah, and you've been so good at hooking audiences recently on TikTok, especially. I'm sure you've learned a lot. So unfortunately, I have to wrap up this interview. I could talk to you forever, but if people want to see your content, if they want to engage with you online, where should they go? Where's the best place, or all of the places?
Very simple. Photoshop Training Channel on YouTube. That's the website, photoshoptrainingchannel.com. And if you want to follow me on social media, JR from PTC, pretty much everywhere, including TikTok, where I just started doing the 1-minute tutorials on there.
See, consistency in branding, consistency in name, something that I should probably do myself. I'm different on every social media. Listen, somebody took Valentina V on everything. I don't understand why.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Valentina.
Of course, and I'll see you later, hopefully.
Hopefully I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Right, bye.
All right, everybody. So that was our chat with Jesus Ramirez from the Photoshop Training Channel. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned some new things. I sure did. And I am very happy to bring you this following tutorial. Now, thank you to Nico DeGaio in the chat room for pointing out that the link was not working. Hopefully it's working now. So this is the adobe.ly/tips Tuesday. There you can get your you can get the full manual for the lesson that I'm about to teach. So it looks like this. Build your brand for week 17. And here you have like what I'm about to cover in the guide, a little bit about me. We're going to be talking about how to organize your project, how to add custom graphics, how to make thumbnails, how to color, including coloring with adjustment layers, how to remix your music. And basically, I think that the most helpful stuff for you I put into this tutorial, because when you are thinking about how to brand yourself, when you are thinking about how to make a consistent look across your channel, you're going to be using consistent graphics or consistent music or consistent types of sequences. There's a bunch of things that you could automate already so that you don't have to do it all the time, every single time. And that's what I want to show you, ways that you could do it quickly and have everything already set up and ready to go whenever you're making a new video in your Premiere Pro project. Also, at this link, if you go ahead and enter your info there, you will be entered for a chance to win 12 free months of Adobe Creative Cloud. That is all of the programs that Adobe offers. Last week's winner is Albert Balderas. So congratulations, Albert. Maybe this week's winner is you. So go ahead over there and check them out. All right. So let's go to my screen now. Me in the corner, and take that logo off. All right. So this is a video that I recently made for the Tickety Talkities. And the thing about it is, like, say I have a presence, whether on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, but I'm making videos all the time. And I want to be using the same assets over and over again. For example, here, I'm using these subtitle graphics that are in a very particular spot on the screen. And I'm also using these kinds of little circle graphics. Here, I'll play it for you. Make sure everything's muted. So I'm using these little circle graphics that look like this. See that? Let's play that again. I'll do a little loop playback by going to I and O. So I can select just this section and then select loop playback. So I can loop that playback over and over again. So you can see the graphic over and over again and what that looks like. So that little graphic. So I'm using that. I'm also using the subtitles, the graphics. Maybe I'm using the same effects for my music. I'm using the same music. If I'm using any kind of audio effects, maybe I want to use the same audio effects over and over again, but I don't want to put all of my videos in the same project because eventually it will bloat and it will become too hard to handle. So here in this project, for example, I have my footage folder, and my footage folder has, hold on, let me zoom in 1 sec. Yep. Okay, so my footage folder has my iPhone footage, my RX100 footage, my screen share footage, my XT4 footage. Then I have my audio, which is split up into music and voiceover. Now, music is something that I want to keep consistent throughout all of my videos, but voiceover, I just want for this video specifically. Then I have sequences, which are just the sequences for this particular video. I don't want to have to make new sequences for new videos. Then I have the photos. These are particular for this video. And then graphics. These are graphics that I want to reuse consistently. So the motion graphics template that I'm using, which is the movement response overlay, which is this little circle, and then the subtitles in that particular spot. So that's what I want to be doing, but I can't because when I create a new project, it's going to create it from scratch, right? So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to create what is called a production, and I'm going to put this project into my production. So I'll go over here to, hold on, my computer just, okay, I'll go over here to File, and then here there is a, it's weird, 1 sec, File, it should give me, oh, I have a production already open, that's why. Okay, let me just close that other production. Actually, let me just, 1 sec, close production, no. Let's do that really quickly. Okay, File, Open Production. There we go. So when you have something already open, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You can always put an existing Premiere Pro project into a production. So I'm going to say Open Production, and it's going to say, where do you want to open it? Now, I don't have one currently, so I'm going to create one instead. So instead of doing this, I'm going to go to my main folder navigation here. I'm going to go to my main drive, which is Valentina 8. And in my main drive, all of the folders are organized like this. There, it's the date _ what it is. So I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to say new folder, and I'm going to name it. Let's go rename. I'm going to name it, what's today? September? Oh my goodness. 2020 0901 _ productions. I'm just going to name it that. Then I'll go to my new name folder, which is my kind of holder folder where I have all of my little subfolders. I'll copy them all over and I'll put them into here. So now I have this production folder and all of these subfolders, all of them are empty, but they're all in order, right? And the place I'm going to put my new production is going to be over here in under Premiere. So I'll make a new folder. I'll call it, channel production. That's it. Channel production. So now I'll go here into the open production window and I'll select that folder. So I'll go to where I had it under productions, Premiere, channel production, select folder. Now it's going to say, this selected folder is not a production, correct, right? Because it was just a simple folder. Do you want to convert this folder to a production? Yes, right? I do. So I'm going to say convert. And now nothing has happened, right? It doesn't look like anything has happened. However, if I go into Window and I access the production window right here, which it should be, if I pop it up over here into the productions workflow, it has opened up a new production. Now this new production doesn't currently have anything in it. So this Premiere Pro project is currently not in the production. So I'm going to close it and then I'm going to open it in the production instead. So I'll go to, whatever this sequence is, I'll right click. I'll go to reveal sequence in project. So this is the project it's in. I'll go to the very top of the project and I will say close project. It's going to say, do I want to save it? Sure, I want to save it, but I'm going to close it. So now all I have is the production and it's empty. And this is how you put a project into your production. You'll right click, you'll go to add project to production. This is very important that you do it this way, add project to production. And we'll go ahead and find the project that I was just working for, my birthday project, which is here under my birthday folder. And I'll go to Premiere, and this is the birthday photo shoot. So what this will do is it'll create a copy, and it's even telling me here, this will create a copy of that project, but inside this production. So it's not going to touch the original project. It will just create a copy. And I'm going to say, that's fine. That's fine with me. Create your copy. We're all good. So now it's put it over here into the production folder, but it's not open because you can see that this little page is not filled, right? If I want to open it within the production, I'll double click it to open it. And now it's open within the production. It's the exact same thing that I had before, but now it's in the production. Now I can create an organization here for myself. So what I'll do is over here in a new folder inside the productions window, I'll go ahead and do new folder and I'll name the folder working projects. And I'll say, okay. And I'll go ahead and put this birthday photo shoot into the working projects folder. Okay, now I can make another folder and I'll call it past projects. And that won't have anything in it quite yet. I'll make a new folder and I'll call it repeated graphics. So these are graphics that are going to repeat across my whole channel. I'm going to keep using them again and again and again. And then I'll do another one called repeated sound. Are you following me so far? If you're following me, go ahead and give me a little heart in the chat room so that I see that you're following me and I will continue. So I have this right now. So I have past projects, repeated graphics, repeated sound, and working projects. So far, all of these are empty. The only thing I have is this one working project, and that's cool. That's fine. I'm not going to touch it, right? Because it's perfect. I'm not going to touch it. I am going to continue and create new projects. Some of these projects are only going to contain graphics. Some of these projects are only going to contain sound. All right. So this is what you do. You select that Premiere Pro project, you right click on it and you say make a copy. Very important to do it this exact way. So you say make a copy, and it's going to make a copy of the whole thing. It's going to put it right here under birthday photo shoot copy 1. I'm going to right click, say rename, and I'm going to say channel sound. That's what I'm going to call it, channel sound, and I'm going to put it into the repeated sounds folder. Then I'm going to go again at the birthday photo shoot. I'm going to right click, say make a copy, And then I'm going to go on the copy. I'm going to say rename, and I'm going to rename it channel audio. Oh, channel graphics. There we go. Channel graphics. Great. And I'm going to move that into repeated graphics. Great. So now everything's organized. I can close out this birthday photo shoot. So I'm going to just right click and say close project. It's going to say save changes, blah, blah, blah. Sure. So now it's closed. Nothing's open. I'm going to open up the channel sound. So now I'm going to create, out of this already existing project, I'm going to create one that's just for sound. So I'm going to go over here to footage and just delete it. I don't need any of this footage. It's going to say, oh, are you sure that you want to delete all this footage? Yes, because I don't need any of the footage, right? This is just channel sound. I'm going to delete the photos and the graphics folders. I don't need any of that, right? So now I'm just looking at sequences and I'm looking at audio. I don't need the voiceover folder because that voiceover was specific to that specific video, the bikini photo shoot video. So I'm going to delete that. Yes. I'm just going to leave the music. And then for sequences, I'm just going to go to the very last sequence because what I want is, I want this is a 1-minute version of that song. So I'm going to delete everything on the video layers. I don't need any of that. And I'm going to leave this be. And I'm going to delete all of the other sequences, delete. And this one I'm going to rename. Just going to click on it twice to rename it. I'm just going to say 1 minute. I think it's Meg the Stallion. So I made a 1-minute version of Meg the Stallion. So now my channel sound project only has what the music files I'm using are and what the sequences of those music files are. And I can go ahead and start dragging other music into it that I want to use. So for example, let's go to, I did this one. Let's see, audio. I got music, so let's drag these guys in. This is like some music that I commonly use on my channel. Let's put those in. Let's go to this one. Let's go audio, music. Let's bright and funny jingle. Let's put that in there. So there we go, right? So I have a bunch of music here and I have my sequences. And if I want to make new sequences, I'll just go to new sequence. I'll call this bright and funny jingle, and I'll put the bright and funny jingle in there. So I have a sequence with just that bright and funny jingle. It's 14 seconds long. Great. So now whenever I'm using any sort of project that is in this production, I can just go ahead and drag these assets directly from my channel sound project instead, and they will be reference from the channel sound project. So let me close this channel sound project for now. And let me open up the channel graphics project. Now remember, this is a copy of our original project. So when I open it up, everything is still going to be here, but I don't need everything. I just need the graphics. So I'm going to select the footage folder, the audio folder, and the photos folder. I don't need any of them. And I'm going to delete them. It's going to say, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I'm going to go into sequences. I'm going to delete everything except for the final sequence. There we go. Yes. I'm going to go into it. And now I have these two rows. I have the row that is the subtitles, and I have the row that is the little swirly graphic, right? So I'm going to rename this. I'm going to say subtitles for TikTok. And then I'm going to duplicate it. Let's duplicate it. This second one, I'm going to go swirlies for TikTok, right? In the subtitles one that's open here, I'm going to delete the swirlies. I'm going to leave the subtitles. In the swirlies one, I'm going to delete the subtitles, leave the swirlies, maybe push them a little bit closer to the beginning of the sequence so that they are just right there already ready for me to go. And then under graphics, I'm going to keep it the same. So I'm going to keep all of the graphics assets that I have the same here. Done, right? So now if I create a new working project, so instead of the birthday photo shoot, maybe I have a new working project. So I'll go to new project and I will call it tutorial for Adobe Care. I'll do that. So a tutorial for Adobe Care is open. And I'll maybe make a new bin. I'll call it O1 footage. right? I'll drag in some new footage into this bin. So let's go with something like, let's see, Adobe Stream 17 footage. There's this clip here, so I'll drag it into here. There we go. I'll do another one, which is, let's see, O2 audio, O3 sequences. So in the sequences, I'll go to the new item for sequences. Whoop. I'll go to new item, sequence, and I'll do a new sequence. I'll call it my Adobe branding tutorial. Great. So now there's the sequence that I can drop the footage into. So there's that footage, there's that sequence. And now say I wanted to drag in music or graphics. I don't need a music or graphics folder, right? I can just go to, okay, let me open up my channel graphics here. Let's open that up and let's put in the movement response overlay. Let's put it here. There it is. Let's do some, let's open the channel sound, and I'll go ahead and grab the bright and fun jingle that is there, and I'll put it into my Adobe branding tutorial over here, and I'll put it in. And now if we go to Adobe branding tutorial and we go to reveal sequence and project, you see the original project, and those graphics and that music are not in the project. They're in the other projects. But because all of the projects are in the production, I can use them and they'll still access and reference that. How cool is that? That is your lesson number 1. I hope that that was useful. Let's move on to a couple other things. Now, again, if you would like if I'm going too fast for you, understandable, because maybe this is something new that you haven't seen before. I have written down all of the notes for you at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. There we go. That's a little more centered. That's a little more centered. So you can go over there and see all of the notes, because I will literally spend days writing those out for you before I get to this point at which I'm teaching it. So I'll show you everything about, how to make a copy of a project, how to create an assets only project, everything about it. So go ahead and check that out. Okay. If we're good to move on. Yes, so Marjorie says, no more duplicate media. Yes, that is exactly what it is. No more duplicate media. Fernando Del Rio Garcia says, definitely new to me. Awesome. All right. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to create a sequence preset. So let's go into my birthday photo shoot over here in my productions panel. Let's go here, right? And let's say that I have my sequences here. Let's do a new, let's duplicate this one. Horizontal. Let's open that up. Let's close everything but it. So I'll right click it and then go to close other timeline panels. So it's the only one. And let me just adjust this sequence to 1920 by 1080. So pretend like that's what it always was. Yeah. And the first clip is, let's go and make it 50, and let's hide that. Okay. So let's say that this is my video. This is my YouTube video about my birthday photo shoot. A couple of things to note. First, I made this video. I shot this in 4K. Which means it's 3840 pixels across and 2160 pixels up and down, which means if I want to create a sequence that is vertical, I can go ahead and make that vertical sequence and it'll still be bigger than a standard vertical size. So that's pretty great. But how do I do that? Well, one way I could do it is the way that I just did it, where I can go into sequence settings, and I can change the frame size from 1920 to 1080 to 1080 by 1920. So I can do 1080 by 1920 square pixels, make sure that the time base is 23.976. I'll press OK. It's going to say, oh, you're changing the size of the sequence, so your preview files will be deleted. I'll say, okay, great. So there is my clip now, and now I can scale it. And even if I scale it to 91%, that's still not full pixel readout. So, and it's still very, very clear, right? But I would hate to do that every single time I want to turn a horizontal sequence into a vertical sequence, right? Or I would hate to do that every single time I have to start a new vertical sequence. So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is, let's say you want to start a new vertical sequence. You select the sequences bin that you made, right? Hopefully you make sequences bins and have everything nice and neat and organized. So you select the sequences bin, and you can either go to new item and select sequence, or you can go to file, new sequence. Either way. So you go to new sequence, and what you have here are a bunch of presets that Premiere already provides you with. And the default preset is actually in RE 1080. It is the 1080 23.976. So it's the very first one. And if you go into settings here, you'll see that that is correct, right? You'll have the time base 23.976, which is the standard. You'll have 1920 by 1080, and the pixel aspect ratio is square pixels. But say I mainly post, here's an example, 4 examples. Say that I'm mainly going to be posting videos that are vertical, number 1, and number 2, that are music videos. That's the only thing I'm making, are vertical music videos on my YouTube channel. So I need to create a sequence preset that not only is vertical to start out with, but that has a bunch of video tracks, because I'm going to be needing to, sync up a bunch of takes. So here, instead of 1920 by 1080, I'm going to put in 1080 by 1920. So you can see that the aspect ratio is now 9 by 16. I'm going to keep everything the same, but I'm going to go over to the tracks tab. And here in the tracks tab, it's going to let me select how many video tracks I want. And let's say I know for a fact that I have no less than 10 video tracks at all times. So I'm going to say video tracks 10. And here on audio tracks, you can add more audio tracks and you can choose their type. So are they going to be a mono submix or whatever? I mean, I don't have time to go into all of these different types. I'm just going to add 10 audio tracks. No, 11, right? Because one of them is going to be, this audio one is going to be our main audio track with the music track, and then all of the other 10 are going to be what we sync our tracks to. If you're interested in a music video workflow, by the way, I made a very comprehensive lesson, and you can find it at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. I made a very comprehensive lesson on editing music videos. So now that I have that set, I can go ahead and do save preset, and I can make myself a custom preset. So I'm going to go to save preset. I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to call it vertical music video. And I'm going to say in the description, I'm going to say 1920 by 1080, 23.976 time base. This is square pixels, and this is 10 video tracks and 11 audio tracks, right? So I don't have to do that every time I make a sequence preset. I say, okay. And now it's going to load up in my sequence presets panel under the custom over here. And you can see I already have a couple of custom ones, but vertical MV is right here. So, and it's giving me, what is everything? It's giving me my description that I just wrote, and I'm going to call it, what am I going to call it? Birthday photo shoot music video? I don't actually have anything to put here, but just in case, there it is. And you can see I'm going to press the tilde key, which is the squiggly line on the top left of the keyboard, while selecting that to see, yes, indeed, it has given me 10 video tracks and 11 audio tracks. And then let's just double check that the sequence settings are correct. It is 1080 by 1920, right? So my vertical music video is ready. So this is also how I do stuff like this, where I will make a vertical size for vertical videos that I am making as well. So I'll just go ahead and do like new sequence and then pop that up, and it's already here. So I already have a vertical 1080 here in my custom settings. So that is how you make a custom sequence preset. Now let's talk about graphics. So let's go over here and let's say that this is a video that I'm making and I want to add an intro graphic or a lower third graphic or something like that to brand my video. Now, again, because this is part of a project, I'm not going to make the graphic right inside of my main sequence that I'm working on. I'm going to make the graphic inside of my repeated channel graphics sequence. So right here. But I can still bring this clip in as a visual aid, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is here under sequences, I'm going to make a new sequence. Now, again, this project is the channel graphics project. This project is my TikTok birthday photo shoot project, right? So this is the birthday photo shoot project. This is the channel graphics project. I have them both open at the same time. So under sequences, I'm going to go to new sequence. I'm going to make it a 1080 sequence, and I'm going to call it lower third for channel. So the sequence is only going to have a lower third. I will go into I'll grab this clip, copy it, and paste it into here as a reference clip for myself. There we go. So that's going to be my reference clip. And then I am going to just choose a graphic to put on top. So I'll go into the Essential Graphics panel, Window, Essential Graphics. It's already open. It's probably hiding here, right? So this is the Essential Graphics panel. The Essential Graphics panel has two different tabs in it. It has the Edit tab, which is currently empty because I don't have any graphics to edit. It has the Browse tab, which all of a sudden starts populating. So I'll go into Adobe Stock. I'll choose Free Graphics, please. And now I can choose what I want. So these are just some free graphics. Let me go to lower third and see what's poppin'. See what's poppin' in the Adobe Stock Store. Hopefully it opens up. There we go. Cool. Sometimes it tends to lag because I'm also streaming from my computer at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, so I have a bunch of these graphics here, and something that I see right away is there's this graphic called Visual Trends, which I really like, but I'm wondering if there's other Visual Trends graphics, because I don't want just a lower third graphic, right? I want a graphic that is part of a graphics package that has an intro, that has a transition, that has other things that I can use. So let's go here, Visual Trends, it says. Let's go to the little info about it, read about it, info. Let's see, it's free. These are the fonts Proxima Nova. It says a left screen smoothly animated lower third. Okay, great. Let's see if I can find other Visual Trends graphics from this graphic creator. So instead of lower third, I'm going to type in Visual Trends, because that's the creator that I want to find graphics from, to see if they have any other ones. And lo and behold, check it out. They have an intro graphic, they have a lower third graphic, and they have a transition graphic. Perfect. So right now I'm making a lower third, so I'm going to go to the lower third, drag that in. Let's see what it looks like when I play it through. Let me mute this. That looks great to me. So now I can select that graphic, go to edit, and give it like my default, the thing that I'm going to use all the time. So I'm going to say it's Valentina V, and the bottom line will be filmmaker, Adobe Master Trainer. Great. Now the colors I can also customize just once, so I never have to customize them ever again. So I can either, select colors from there or pick them myself. And depending on whether you have your own, special graphics palette that you are always using, you can just type in the hex values of those colors and then they'll be saved. So I'll go ahead and choose, let's see, I'll choose, well, blue, right? Blue is my like standard. I should really have a graphics palette for myself, but I don't. Jesus, I'm so sorry that I don't. Okay, so there we go. So that looks good to me. Now remember, I also remembered that Proxima Nova is the name of this font. So whenever I want to be using fonts, I'll also be using Proxima Nova. Let's see, this is like a bottom line margin. I'll make it a little bit smaller maybe. Okay, great. Let's see, size. Maybe I want it a little bit smaller and I want it to be located on this side of the screen. Okay, that looks good. Okay, cool. That looks good. We will save that, okay? Now let's do another one for our intro. So let's put it right on top of it actually, and then we can duplicate it and delete. So we'll go back to browse. We'll go to here, visual trends, the intro. We'll actually put the lower third on top, bring this intro beneath. Okay, so we can use these same colors, and I'll go into Valentina V. That's what I'll call this. Very just like so imaginative. So I'm just like very good at naming things, I think. We'll go ahead and pick the color from the other graphic. I guess it won't let me pick it, so I'll just use the hex value. Go ahead and grab that, copy it over here, paste it in so it's all the same. Go to this one, grab that purple, copy it, paste it into here so it's the same. There we go. Perfect, right? And I don't like that background, so but maybe it'll be better on black. Yeah. And then it also gives me the opportunity to turn the background on and off. And yeah, maybe I want it on. Yeah, I want it on. I just don't want it to be like that. So let me see if I can do like a dark purple. Let's do a dark purple. That's better. Okay, great. So now that I have my lower third for channel sequence, I'll go ahead and find it, reveal sequence and project. So it's selected it right here. I'll go ahead and duplicate it. So duplicate. So now it's two of them. Instead of lower third for channel, I'll do intro for channel. Get rid of that rest of the copy. So lower third for channel, I'll get rid of both the intro and the reference clip. Give it a sec. For the intro for channel, I'll get rid of both the lower third and the reference clip. So now I have my lower third for channel here, my intro for channel here, and my birthday shoot here, right? So what I can do is I can pancake those timelines. So I'll put the birthday shoot horizontal timeline underneath, and now I'll just grab this I'll grab the lower third first, and I'll put it in here. Oh, that is, wait, did I get it confused? Yeah, I think I renamed them opposite. So let me redo that. Lower third, reveal sequence and project. So this is going to be intro, and then the other one is going to be the lower third. It's hard to do this live, by the way. All right, so we'll put the intro over here. We'll put the lower third over here. We'll crop it a little bit. There we go. Oh, are they both? Did I get rid of the lower third on both of them? Excellent. Love that. That's what the undo button's for. Okay. So this is the lower third, right? Okay, cute. All right. There we go. One quick sec. Let Mama Valentina fix everything. So there's the lower third. Bring that lower third in. Ta-da. So there's the lower third. cute. And then before it goes over into like the main content of the video, I'll go ahead and I'll slide that main content over a little bit, and I'll put in that intro as well over here somewhere, maybe on top of everything. And then I'll de-pancake it, so that's what it looks like. And you can press A, and your mouse will just become a selection tool, and it'll select everything that's after your playhead or your mouse. So it looks something like this now. So you have the lower third there, and then it goes into an intro, and then it goes into whatever that content is. Pretty cool, right? Let me know if you are still following along. It's really hard to do a live video lesson because I don't get that kind of feedback. So if you learned anything in this tutorial so far, let me know in the comments, please. And if you have any questions, John Bill says, de-pancake is a word we don't often use. Yes, that is true. That is true. All right, let's do a couple more things. Let me open up, let's see. Okay, couple of things. Let's do this. All right, we are back. We are back in our project. Let's say that we want to apply a certain look to all of our footage for some reason. Like, for example, we have here on V1, and I'll make it a different color so that you can see it a little bit better. So I will select all the V1 clips, I'll right click, and I'll go to label, and I'll make them yellow. Okay, so all of the yellow clips on V1, they are all the same setup. They're all me in my room. And then all of the other clips, those are all B-roll clips, right? So I want all of the yellow clips, and let me just make sure that they're all the same. They all look the same. I want them all to be colored with the same, with the same color treatment, with the same look. So what I'll do is, let me actually, these subtitles, let me select all of them and disable them by going to Shift E so that they're not bothering me. And let me put the graphic down here and this graphic down here. So everything is kind of even. So I'm going to select all of the everything that isn't V1 by holding down Alt and drawing a marquee box. So I've selected all 3 of those rows, and then I'm going to hold down Alt and click up on my keyboard to push them up 1. So I have basically cleared a row here for my adjustment layer that I'm going to be making. So this is my adjustment layer that I've cleared the row for. Now, again, an adjustment layer is a graphic, right? And I want to be putting it in, or actually it's a color. I want to do a color look. So maybe with repeated graphics and repeated sound, I'm going to make a new folder, and I'll call it repeated color looks. And inside of that repeated color looks folder, I'm going to make a new sequence, and I'm going to call this sequence adjustments for XT4, because let's say I always shoot with different types of cameras, and each camera requires me to put on a certain type of effect to make it look the way that I want it to. So here in repeated color looks, I have the adjustments for XT4. This is going to be an entire project dedicated to adjustment layers entirely. So I'm going to go here into new item, and I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to add an adjustment layer. Okay, 1920 by 1080. There we go. And now I can go ahead and drag this adjustment layer into here. Actually, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new sequence with this adjustment layer. So I'm going to go into bin. I'm going to make an entire bin that is just for adjustment layers. I'm going to put that adjustment layer in. I'm going to call this adjustment layer 1920 by 1080. So that's going to be that. I'm going to make a new bin. I'm going to call it sequences. And then I'm going to make a new sequence that is 1920 by 1080, and I'm going to call it XT4 adjustment for room set. That's my room set. There we go. I'm going to take that adjustment layer, drag it into this. Great. And then I'm going to grab that reference again from here. I'm going to copy it, put it into my my XT4 adjustment for room set sequence. So there's my reference. Just cut down that adjustment. Okay. So now I'm going to put whatever color effects I want on this adjustment layer in this XT4 adjustment room set sequence in the adjustments for XT4 project in the main channel production. So it's kind of all, you know, it's kind of like Russian nesting doll. Everything is inside of everything. And this may seem like a roundabout way to do it, but if you're setting up a brand, if you're setting up assets that you're going to be using over and over and over again, this is the smart way to do it. So let me go to Window and Lumetri Color. I'll pull it up over here so you can see a little bit better. Okay, now I'm going to do whatever adjustments I want to this image. And right away, I can tell that this image is a little bit too pink. So I'm going to take the tint down into green a little bit. I'm going to warm it up just a little bit. There we go. I want the shadows to be bumped up, and I want the saturation to be bumped up a little bit, contrast a little bit. There we go. And now I can also even add a creative look. So there's all of these little creative looks that Premiere Pro comes with. They're in the creative tab of the Lumetri Color panel. So I can go and I can choose and I can audition some fun creative looks by going to the right and left arrows. So I can just audition them and see, ooh, I really like this one. So I'm going to put that on, but I'm going to take the intensity down. That one looks really good. Okay, so that is now added to this adjustment layer. And again, if I use the little eye tool I can turn that off and on to check. I really like the way that that looks. Maybe I can actually do it a little bit more intense. There we go. So now I can delete this footage that's underneath. I don't need it. All right, so that's the adjustment layer there. And again, I can quickly pancake it. So I'll put my put my birthday photo shoot underneath here, and I will take the adjustment layer. I will now drag the adjustment layer from this project to this project right here. So I'll put it underneath there, and I'll drag it to the length and depancake it. So now that adjustment layer is here. And now that color, I can just keep that color consistent the whole time, every single time I use this particular setup and this particular camera. And you can see even near the end, towards the end, it's still that same color, which is really cool. Okay. So lastly, I don't think we have time to get into remixing music, which is fine. I just wanted to say one last thing for quickly exporting a thumbnail. Now, sometimes maybe you don't have time to export, to shoot your own thumbnails, which is fine. You can always just, now that everything is colored and everything is the way that you want it to be, maybe in this case, you don't want the lower third, obviously, in the thumbnail. So let's select the lower third here, and let's select both of these and disable them by going to Shift E. We'll enable them later. This is just for the thumbnail. And we'll find a good spot in this clip. Let's see. Or maybe towards the end. Let's re-enable these. I think maybe towards the end. We can go ahead and select these, disable them for now, and let's see. This music, I'm going to mute it just so that it doesn't bother us. Like a good something where I'm smiling. Smiling is really good for thumbnails. Either smiling or conflict. This looks good right here. That looks good. And then I can always, if I want, I can always put some kind of text up here in the thumbnail. But now that I have this still frame, I can go down here to export frame and export that. Ooh. I moved it. I spent so long trying to find the perfect one. Also, just an FYI, if you have a little gap between the bottom of your teeth and the top of your lip, that is very like that makes it seem like you're smiling more naturally than you are. So I always try to find some sort of frame where there's a little bit of a gap. Also, having that separation is just visually more appealing. Oh my God, I keep not finding the right. There we go. There we go. And then I'm going to go to export frame, and it's going to ask me where do I want to put it. This is very important so I can find it later. And as always, I always have all of my organization on lock. So here under birthday, I have a photos folder. So I'll just put it in the photos folder here, and I'll call it birthday thumbnail. And I'll say, now you can import it into project, but since I'm making this a thumbnail, I'm not going to. And I'm going to say, okay. And then I can take that still image and bring it into Photoshop and like write some text, or I can even write some text in Premiere and then export that whole thing if I wanted to. That's fine too. So, and then I can go ahead and re-enable the stuff that was already on top of it by selecting it and going to Shift E and re-enabling that. So there you have it. There is a quick tutorial on how to set up your channel videos so that you can use consistent branding throughout all of your videos and not have to constantly be pulling in the same music tracks, pulling in the same graphics and readjusting the colors, pulling in the same color correction, pulling in new color correction, I should say, and readjusting everything. You can use the same assets. They're not going to bloat your projects up. And hopefully you learned something new. If you did learn something new, please leave it in the chat room. I would love to know if you learned something new. If you go to adobe.ly/Tips Tuesday, you will get the manual for everything that I'm talking about now, plus more, because I didn't get to everything because I am very enthusiastic and I always think that I can get more done than I actually can. And then also, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram at Valentina V. I'm constantly sharing new tips and tricks and techniques. It is my favorite thing to do, is just to share things that I learn with the community. Next week we are doing another tips and tricks Tuesdays, which let me just double check what that is because I don't want to be wrong. Oh, next week is actually really exciting. So we are doing an editing for emphasis tutorial. So how do you do like fun stuff to your videos to make certain words pop, to make certain beats work better, to add comedy to your video using editing? And we have no better guest than the editors at World of Wonder, who if you're not on WoW Presents, if you're not on World of Wonder, if you don't know what that is, I highly recommend you look them up because they make some of the funniest online shows on the internet. So definitely stay tuned for next week. Every single week I try to bring you a tutorial that shows you new things that you have never seen before. I'm going on 17 weeks and I'm still finding new things to talk about. So next week is no different. Until then, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.